Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video, and welcome to the season of Arrivals, as we welcome some new changes into the Destiny world, and the much anticipated darkness is here on our doorstep, introducing itself to us, and we're eagerly anticipating a more aggressive throwdown with the darkness this fall. In the meantime, we've got some new content to sink our teeth into, including the new Contact public event, a string of missions, some new catalysts and weapons to farm, as well as a sick new dungeon. Seriously, if you have not done the dungeon yet, please do what you can to get leveled up and get in there, because it is well worth it. The experience is great, even if the loot isn't that phenomenal. The armor set does look pretty cool, but there's just so much armor in the loot. Anyways, neither here nor there. But also included in this season's content is one major change to the PvP environment, and that is the removal of skill-based matchmaking in all modes except for survival and elimination. So that's right, they finally did it. You know, the last time that this happened in Destiny 2, it was a total accident, right, apparently. Back in the Warmind DLC, when they mistakenly, I think, bumped into the skill-based matchmaking switch in the break room at Bungie, and it got flipped into the off position and no one noticed. The Crucible came alive back then, but for a long time now, we've been in a position where skill-based matchmaking has been in full force in the Crucible in almost every game mode except for the classic mix playlist. And now we were told that there was no skill-based matchmaking in classic mix since Shadowkeep dropped, but many speculated that wasn't the case. Many thought that skill-based matchmaking, it had to be there. It had to be there because it was so sweaty. And I assume that the reason we felt that way was because classic mix is actually, I mean, the population was mega low, because it looks like it's sort of this peripheral activity sort of down the bottom right of the screen. You know, when people pull up the Crucible, they're ready to play, they're not actively seeking this peripheral thing in the bottom right hand corner. No, what's front and center? What do I want to play? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of the reason why it felt so sweaty. Like, not a lot of people were there, and the only people that really rushed to it, that flocked to it, were higher skilled players trying to find a place to go that was casual. But since that's where they were all going, we ended up matching each other. You know what I'm saying? And it ended up being a pretty sweaty playlist. Now all 6's game modes have no skill-based matchmaking in them, and you can certainly tell. You know, we were actually told, I think Cosmo verified on Twitter the other day that there's not even going to be skill-based matchmaking in Iron Banner, which I think is great. Honestly, I think that when you add skill-based matchmaking and lobby balancing into a 6's environment, it's just too chaotic. It's just too much, and it's not fun, and that's my opinion. Now, I know that this is a topic that stirs up a lot of emotions for many people, and I'm going to fall off the log here and say what I prefer as far as 6's and skill-based matchmaking goes, but please remain respectful of others in the comment section while we talk about this. You know, let me open up this discussion with an anecdote. Okay? Back when Shadowkeep dropped, and they told us that there would be skill-based matchmaking in all playlists, basically, many of us in the community were unhappy. And we'll get to the why in a minute. But we were unhappy, and I remember two specific community figures in the Destiny community really taking to Twitter and defending this decision till they were blue in the face. They said things like, "This is good for players like me that don't play much Crucible, that aren't that good. Skill-based matchmaking will make me play a lot more and enjoy PvP a lot more." And that's what they said, and they argued that this was the only way that they can have fun in PvP. I want to call attention to the fact that the last time both of these community figures played a Crucible match was 6 months ago and 8 months ago. This change that they sang the praises of made them play Crucible for a few weeks before signing off. That's it. A few weeks. Was it worth implementing that change just to have players still, not feeling compelled to play? I don't think so. And the rest of us who love Crucible are left here wondering why the numbers keep going down and why the sweat factor keeps going up. The bottom line is this: skill-based matchmaking did not actually help casual players enjoy the game more and play it more. Let me say that again. Skill-based matchmaking did not actually help casual players enjoy the game more and play it more. Here's my honest opinion. When it comes to the chaos that is Destiny 6v6, skill-based matchmaking ruins the spirit of the game and turns it into an environment where you are surrounded by people your skill level. So if you want to succeed, you need to set fun to the side and prioritize selecting really good weapons and using really good builds if you want to stand above the pack. But when skill-based matchmaking is turned off, you get this wonderfully diverse range of skills represented in the lobby, and people seem to embrace the chaos more. They just roll with it. And since skill-based matchmaking was turned off, I've seen some fantastic weapon and subclass diversity. Even at my level, I'm still losing matches plenty. It's not like, oh, here we go, the top 1% get to have fun and all of us get sucked. Nope, that's not really how it goes. It really isn't how it goes. It's been mega fun, and here's another major factor. Because the game is pulling from a much larger population now, not just the population of players online at that time that match your skill range, right? The matchmaking is going so much faster now because it's pulling from so many more people, right? I'm banging out my Crucible matches way quicker and spending a lot less time in orbit. Before this season dropped, it was not uncommon for me to spend 8 minutes not shooting weapons in between matches. 8 minutes from the last shot I took in my last match to the first shot I took of the next match, right? That's a lot of downtime. It's not engaging. It's not fun. At the very least, we're getting more gameplay time and less orbit time, and that's a win for me. Now, I know it's really easy for people to be unsympathetic these days, but here's the honest truth. Since Shadowkeep dropped, it's been really hard to be a good player. And I know people are like, woohoo, okay. I know, but just real. These are real people. These top 1%ers that you love to hate on, they're real people, and they're just gamers who happen to be good at the game that they love. And everywhere you go, you're constantly pitted against stiff competition. Previously, and at the low end of the skill gap, that might not be a big deal, but on my end of the skill gap, and this isn't an arrogant thing, it's just the honest truth. It is a big deal. That means sweat lords who farmed god rolls on every PvP meta weapon are everywhere. And that means playing Destiny PvP for people like me went from being a hobby and a super fun way to unwind to a chore and a challenge. And I like a challenge. You guys know this if you ever stop by the stream. I play a whole lot of comp. I solo queue even into team comp to try and help people out who are duos. I play a ton of Trials of Osiris. Like I love challenge. I do, but I don't like challenge when it's at the expense of losing my fun gaming time. So many of us moved on and found other places to go, or just stayed and sweated it out. For one, I'm happy that skill-based matchmaking is gone, so that there's at least one environment now where I can go in, I can pull out my bad juju, I can play around with some fun builds again, right? Now, like I said, we need to be sympathetic towards one another, and I'm definitely sympathetic to our common gamers out there who may be nervous about this change. I can assure you, in the matches I've played so far, I have seen people with 900 elo. That's, for the record, if you don't know what that means, what's 900 elo? That's like the low end of a common gamer. That's a very casual gamer. I've seen casual gamers dropping 2.0s, 20 plus kills in these matches that are not on my team. They're on the other team. I don't think it's going to ruin your experience. I would say play for a couple weeks. See how you feel. Not just how you feel either, but also go and look up on Guardian.gg or Destiny Tracker and see if there's been a major difference in your games since the change. Are you playing worse, better, or about the same? One of the things that I notice is that when skill-based matchmaking is on, you don't have a lot of extraordinary games. You have a lot of, well, I did pretty good games, and some I did pretty bad games, and some I kind of got farmed games. But when you have this wide variety of skill sets represented in the lobby, sometimes you're the boot, and sometimes you're the ant, and sometimes you're middle of the pack. And I much prefer an environment where sometimes you're a boot, sometimes you're middle of the pack, and sometimes you're an ant. I greatly prefer that to always being just sort of one note, monotonous, same old. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have these games where I can slay out and then occasionally get stomped and then usually play somewhere in the middle of the pack. I much prefer that to just sort of being average all the time. every now and then, the things that really light a fire in your belly are the times that you do something really cool. And when you have a wide variety of skills represented in the lobby, it's easier to have those moments every now and then. And that's what I love about having skill-based matchmaking turned off. So give us some time, give some solid feedback. I'm genuinely interested to see it. I'm guessing that at that level, your experience will be largely unchanged. The reality is this: people are always moaning about having to play the top 2 or 3% of players, but remember, they're the top 2 to 3%. Your chances aren't very good that you're going to have matches where sweat lords are stomping all over you. It's not going to happen all the time. It'll happen every once in a while, and it'll probably end in a mercy, and you'll just get your valor faster, you get your progress to your pinnacle drop faster, but it won't be the standard. It won't be the norm. It's simple math and probabilities. But again, please let us know how you feel about these changes. We certainly have to find ways of keeping the common gamer engaged while also making sure the diehards are having a good time too. And I think this is a good compromise. So thanks for watching and supporting the channel. I do genuinely appreciate it. If you want to support me directly, you can do so by going to truevanguard.com and hitting the support button on my page. Many people express their concerns that supporting me is supporting Zuckerberg and Facebook, big Facebook. But support revenue goes almost entirely to me, while the remainder just goes back into the Facebook gaming entity, which is separate from Facebook corporate. And it goes to help support the gaming platform, and none of it goes back to Facebook corporate or Zuck. So just wanted to throw that out there. So thanks for all your love. I look forward to catching you in the Crucible. Bye-bye.